This is Football Night in America, served by Applebee's.
Thank you for joining us for the Football Night in America podcast. We are here to recap and break down Week 11. Maria Taylor alongside Matthew Berry, Mike Florio, Devin McCourty, and Jason Garrett here with you. And guys, let's talk about the game that we were all excited to see coming into it. The Chiefs going to Orchard Park. They're trying to protect an undefeated record, and well, they were handed their first loss of the season. And the Bills won their 6th straight. What did we learn about each team in this matchup, Florio?
Well, I mean, I think we learned that the Bills are capable of beating the Chiefs in the regular season, but we knew that. This still doesn't change what will be at stake and what the mindsets will be when the postseason rolls around. So it was fun to watch. The Chiefs' undefeated run was fun while it lasted, the 15 straight victories, the things they had in front of them, but they still have the one thing they care about most in front of them, and they know when the time comes to play the Bills again, if they do, when they do, they'll be confident that the outcome will be different.
I think for Buffalo, they learned they have enough. You know, no Keon Coleman, no Kincaid. All of the talks was, hey, Allen's missing some of his key guys. Is it going to be enough against this good Kansas City Chiefs defense? And it was. Guys stepped up. Curtis Samuel stepped up and made plays. Shakir continues to be that go-to guy in the slot. And Amari Cooper to start the game throwing 2 long passes to Cooper, I think backed the Kansas City Chiefs up a little bit. It was like, oh, we got to kind of dictate some coverage to Cooper. We can't let him have a big game. So this team now, when you can spread the ball around and then in the key moments, Josh Allen gets to just be the great Josh Allen, you have a chance to be really good. And I think they believe they can beat Kansas City now.
Yeah, I've always loved watching the evolution of players, coaches, and teams. And they have different experiences, and some of them not so good. They have some adversity, and they respond to it. And they develop some callous and some toughness to it. And I think that's what Buffalo's been going through. Early on, it was, hey, we got to beat Devin McCourty, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the Patriots. And since they've been gone, they've dominated the division, but they can't beat the elite teams in the conference. And I think they're learning from their losses. Kansas City going there in the playoffs last year and beating them at their place, you know, that's a tough one to swallow. And I think they got stronger as a result of it. You said it. The Joe Brady hire in the middle of the season last year I thought was really big for their team because it changed the dynamic. Josh Allen doesn't have to do everything on every snap anymore. They spread the ball around, they run it, they get it to different guys. I think we saw that today.
By the way, Coach, you are the nicest person in the world because I think that's the first time in history anyone's ever said Devin McCourty, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady in that order. I love you, Dad.
My mom says that all the time. I'm just telling you.
All right, fair enough. Coach Garrett and your mom, that's about it. I'm pretty sure Coach Belichick and Brady get mentioned before you, Dad, when we talk about those great Patriots team. Not that you didn't contribute a tremendous amount. But I think, to me, answering your question, Maria, in terms of what did we learn about the Chiefs here, I think we learned they're only going to go as far as their defense can take them. Their offense hasn't been great all year long. I know we've talked about the injuries to Rice. We've talked about the injuries to Pacheco. But the fact of the matter is they've been winning on defense. They gave up 30 points today, right? This is the first time they've given up 30 points since the Super Bowl win over the Eagles. And so I think that it's sort of a twofold thing. They're only going to go as far as their defense can get. Now, they're going to get Pacheco back, and they're going to integrate Hopkins more. But, you know, we still see inexperience, rookie mistakes from Xavier Worthy. We still haven't seen a number of guys. Kelsey had a quiet game, in a game in which you really needed number 87. He just wasn't there today. And so I think it is ultimately going to be up to the Chiefs' defense if they want to, you know, win for a 3rd straight Super Bowl. And then on the Bills side of the ball, Coach, I think you're absolutely right, which is what we learned is that Josh Allen, for so many years, it was like, all right, Josh, put on Superman cape and go out and just win. And it was just like, no. We've got a bunch of different guys that all can contribute. And then when we get down to it, then put on your Superman cape and run for 25 yards or whatever that was, score a touchdown, just an unbelievable play at the end of the game. But we don't need that kind of play from you every single play, just in a couple of big moments when you can be the superstar you are.
When you were talking about the evolution of the Bills, I had a flashback to what I view as the golden days of the NBA, late 80s, early 90s. You got to eventually get past that team. You're getting better and better. Can the Pistons get past the Lakers? Can the Bulls get past the Pistons? And it feels like the dam breaks when it finally happens. And it's Fine, it happens in the regular season. It's got to happen in the postseason. And the pressure is going to be even greater. Now that they've done it in the regular season, I think they're going to feel a little more pressure to finally do it in the postseason. Excuse me.
And by the way, they now, because of this win, they now have a chance to host home field. Chiefs still have the better record, but it's one game, right? And if it comes down to a tie, now they've got the tiebreaker.
And Jason, you said that makes a difference.
Yeah, and I look at it differently. You said more pressure because they won in the regular season. To me, it's more confidence. Hey, we beat these guys. We beat these guys 2 months ago at our place in a tough, hard-fought game, and we made the plays at the end. They didn't. So when you get in that situation again, you fall back on that experience. And I do think the home field matters. Kansas City went in there last year and won in the playoffs, but Buffalo's a hard place to play. You know that better than anybody. Kansas City's a hard place to play. You know that better than anybody. So, it's better to be home in the playoffs. Kansas City's shown that throughout their tenures.
And I think the last thing we have to remember with Kansas City is this time last year, we weren't talking about Rashee Rice and the type of player he was eventually. So Xavier Worthy, Hopkins, whoever it's going to be, there's still time when you have a quarterback and an offensive coordinator like Andy Reid. He knows how to get guys going. He knows what spot to put people in. And last year, I was killing the Chiefs. And all this guy kept saying, Big Red, the guy up there, and he knows what he's doing. And the team, they won another Super Bowl, so.
I mean, that's the greatest point, right? Is that last year we kept saying they can't keep getting away with this. They can't keep getting away with this. And yet they did, and they ultimately figured it out. As long as you have Andy Reid in 15, you've got a chance in every single game. Yeah, so, you're not counting out the Chiefs at all. But, they need their defense to step up.
We're starting to feel that way, too, about Mike Tomlin, the steel curtain. As long as Mike Tomlin has a defense and, a good, decent quarterback, he might be all right. And they came out and they get a win against the Ravens. But one thing that they've proven over time, Coach, is that they have success against Lamar Jackson. This defense knows how to contain him. Not a lot of the NFL has figured out how to do that. How would you describe what you saw on defense from the Steelers?
Well, I've said it 50 times this year on this show. Ravens, best offense in football, number one offense. You can't stop Lamar. You can't stop the running back. They got these weapons outside. They go to Pittsburgh today, and they were just a shell of themselves. I mean, they couldn't throw it. They couldn't run it. They took the ball away from them in the big moments. They made it close at the end, but Pittsburgh dominated this game. And I think the biggest thing for me is Pittsburgh understands how to stop the Ravens' run game. They do a great job on the line of scrimmage with gap integrity and setting edges and all those things, and they tackle well. And then they're very disciplined in their rush lanes against Lamar. The teams that don't play Lamar very well, that record he has against all those NFC teams, they don't see him a lot. So they go chase him hard, and he just runs all over the place and loves that space. They don't let him get out in space. They have guys on the outside. They're level rush guys. They have all the gaps accounted for, and all of a sudden he looks like a little bit of a different guy. So they know how to defend him. I'm not so sure everybody else does. So I do think even though the Ravens had a rough day today, they're still going to be there. That number one offense is going to reemerge. The biggest concern with the Ravens is their pass defense. That's the thing that keeps getting exposed.
Yeah, and it sticks out. When you watch Lamar Jackson games, you usually see at least 1 to 5, maybe 10 times a game. Someone's free. They run in there. No control. He makes a move. When you watch the Steelers, we didn't really see any of those plays. Yeah, you might have had another run for 12 yards, but exactly. Everyone, if they're free, you're breaking down. They understand, hey, it's faster than what it looks like on film. We've been out there with them before. And I agree. I think with this Ravens team, we want to see them get one of those signature wins when going into the game, it's, hey, you've lost 7 out of 8 against Pittsburgh. Hey, Lamar, you struggle against Pittsburgh. You want to see them come win. Hey, you're going to play Kansas City. That's where you can't win. You're struggling against Kansas. You want to see them win those games, and for some reason, it's like they just don't get over the hump to win those games. But I agree, the Ravens will be there. But a credit to this Steelers offense, the Steelers team, Mike Tomlin, this team, I don't think anyone saw them in this position, and they continue to just build the team exactly how they want. Mike Tomlin takes all the pressure off all the other guys, and he puts it on himself, and it allows the players to go play free.
They haven't finished in last place in the division since 1988. And when you looked at the teams in that division going into the season, there's a chance that this is the year that it happens. Cleveland was a wild card, but Cincinnati and Baltimore, they're the elite teams. Steelers, on paper, maybe not what they need to be. And then we see it. The thing about this rivalry that's crazy, you can take the names off the back of the jerseys, rip the numbers off of the shirts, and it's always the same game. It's always the same back and forth, close game. I was impressed that the Steelers didn't let the Russell Wilson ugly interception become the thing that broke the dam the other way. The defense stiffened and held together after that because that felt like, you had your chance to put them away, and now they're going to come back and get you. But, that Steelers defense, it really is incredible. And you're right. All those NFC teams have no idea how to deal with Lamar Jackson. I'd want to hire anybody I could off the Steelers coaching staff if I was an NFC team to get ready for when I have to play Lamar Jackson.
You know what I love, though, and I'll let you go, Matthew, but we all know the Tomlinisms. He's got such great quotes, put them on T-shirts, all that. I love when they asked him this week about comparing Jaden Daniels to Lamar Jackson. And he said, hey, slow down there. Be careful comparing anybody. And we call him Mr. Jackson. and just that idea of we have an immense amount of respect for this guy, and we have to have a plan to stop this guy. And they've stopped him a lot, but trust me, they know how dangerous he is.
Yeah, and you know what? You mentioned that, and I think this is so. Pittsburgh has won 7 of the last 8 against the Baltimore Ravens, and I think this stat is crazy. Lamar Jackson in his career has 2 MVP awards and 1 win against Pittsburgh. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It just goes to show how good Mike Tomlin and the Steelers team has been against one of the best players in the NFL since he came into the league, and just been able to get that. And so, look, there are concerns obviously about the Ravens on this side of the ball. I think they've had 4 losses this year, and all 4 have been by 7 points or fewer. And so as you start, obviously they're going to be in the postseason, right? But when you start thinking about those close games, because that's going far in the playoffs, it's all about those moments, right? Those 3 or 4 plays, those last second plays, and so just the fact that they haven't been able to overcome the close games is a bit of a concern. And on one hand, you could look at it one side and say, listen, this is a team that had 12 penalties, 3 turnovers, they missed 2 field goals, and they lost a 2-point game on the road. I mean, again, there's no such thing as a moral victory, but they should have been blown out when you think about all those things. And so, Justin Tucker, who is usually reliable, he's struggled somewhat this year, but Tucker makes those 2 field goals. It's a different ball game here. But as you start thinking about the playoffs and you start thinking about kind of those moments, those clutch moments, the Steelers got a guy in Cris Boswell that does not miss. And obviously there's questions about Justin Tucker where there never were before. This guy was the best kicker in the NFL for so long. And for him to miss 2 kicks like this, and not the first game where he's missed a few, it's a little eyebrow raising.
Yeah, and TJ Watt afterwards was like, I just want to give a shout out to Cris Boswell. Wouldn't let me get off the FaceTime without saying that. You saw Mike Tomlin talking about Cris Boswell. We know the importance that a special team or a kicker can play in a game. We actually saw that again in the Chicago and Green Bay game. Yeah. It came down to a blocked field goal, and we're thinking, oh man, the Chicago Bears, they're finally going to get this win. Instead, the Packers win their 11th straight. We did see a little bit of a change, Caleb Williams, maybe the change in the plan that Thomas Brown came in with as the new offensive coordinator for the rest of the season. Maybe it helped, but they can't get over the hump and beat the Packers.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a tough lot. And I just feel bad for Bears fans, I should say, for Bears fans. I mean, you lose on a Hail Mary, and then a couple weeks later, oh, by the way, you're going to lose on a blocked field goal. Poor Bears fans. They've been through so much. So my heart goes out to everyone that roots for Chicago here. Again, there's no such thing as a moral victory in the NFL, but if there were, you feel better about. I think you feel better about the Bears than you did 48 hours ago, because I agree with you, Maria. I think moving from Shane Waldron to Thomas Brown seemed to have some positive effects on the offense. I thought Caleb Williams looked better. He was getting the ball out quicker. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen got involved in this one. Odunze is going to be, he's going to be a star in this league as well. They ran the ball well. And this is the Green Bay Packers defense that was coming off of a bye. They had 2 weeks to prepare for a division game against the Bears, and Chicago went into Lambeau and took it to them. And again, should have won this game. You played to the last whistle, but still, I think if I am Chicago, I am encouraged by what I saw from the team overall, and specifically Caleb Williams, because it would have been easy for them to go into Green Bay and just, what this ain't our year, and just get blown out. And they didn't. And, they should have won the game. Yeah.
When they made the offensive coordinator change, we talked about this Tuesday on PFT Live. Okay, what's going to be different? What's going to be better? What are they going to do now that you take a guy who was part of the staff that was led by the guy who got fired and you put him in charge and you say, okay, you go do better? Well, they did. We saw the designed runs. We saw the higher level of confidence. Keenan Allen basically said last week that Shane Waldron was too nice of a guy. So something happened this week once Thomas Brown got the keys to the offense. And even though they lost, it's an encouraging sign moving forward. They're 4-6. We act like they're done. They're 4-6. They're still in decent position to try to compete for a playoff berth. Yes, they've lost 4 in a row, but I think this gives them a lot of confidence going into next week when the Vikings come to Soldier Field. It's one thing to lose to the Packers there. It's another thing to lose to the Vikings.
I can just add to that.
Or beat the Vikings.
After talking to Thomas Brown, that was one of the things that he said he learned when he took over last year with Bryce Young. He said, I was too nice. Like, I went in really worrying about a lot of feelings. And so the first thing he did was pull the entire offense together and was like, guys, we're going to talk about accountability. I'm going to tell you I'm about to coach every single person because there's really nothing to lose, but there's something to change. And that's what he kind of came out with an intensity. He said, I looked down from the box, and the first time I didn't see guys upset, mad. It was like a focus. There weren't issues with communication, like some of the things he experienced the first time around. And so maybe that experience helped, but you could see it translating on the field.
It's an awesome point because football players want to be coached. They're used to it. They grew up their whole life. It's like it's got a military dynamic to it. There's a chain of command. Tell us what to do. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Tell us what we're doing right. And tell us what to do next.
And I think that's a key part that never gets spoken about because on the outside, we don't know those things. We watch the game. We want to see, hey, is he moving the pocket? Is he getting the ball out fast? But what happens in the meeting rooms? What happens when guys go to take the field? Do they believe in what's being taught to them? There's a lot of great coaches in the NFL. We don't know that because the only thing we see is the production on the field, but it's how do guys receive the information? So obviously for Thomas Brown coming in that situation and saying, hey, guys, I'm bringing it to you and I'm telling it to you straight. You're either going to like it or you're not, but we're going to move on past you because right now, with everything we have on the field, we're not scoring touchdowns. We're not doing anything on offense. So I don't need you guys on the field if we're not going to be productive anyway. So a lot of respect to that. And I think on the other side, I think for Green Bay, they got to figure out a way to be more consistent. They won this game, and I think there's something to be said winning in the NFL, period. That's hard to do. But I think this team has higher aspirations. And I know everyone said last year, right around Thanksgiving, they took off. Last year, the Bengals had a slow start. Like, football doesn't work like that. Like, the team you're going to be, you want to start to build that team. You don't want to bank on, hey, well, last year we did this or 2 years ago we did that. No, stay in the now. So I think for this Green Bay Packers team, I believe they probably wanted to play better coming off a bye week. But I will say it's hard to prepare when the offensive coordinator gets fired and now you come in, you don't know what exactly is going to change. So, but I think they definitely need to be better going forward this season.
I mean, I'll just say very quickly, Coach, like the Packers are 7-3. I feel like they're the quietest 7-3 team in the NFL. Like no one is talking about the Packers. They're 7-3, and I get it was an ugly win, but they're 7-3.
But they're in third place in their division.
I know. I mean, that's the problem is they're in the toughest division in football. But like, this is still a very good football team.
No doubt. And what was interesting about this game for me with Chicago is no doubt Thomas Brown did a really good job coming in, short notice. You don't have a lot of time to do this. I think he clearly went in there, laid out the expectations, communicated them clearly, held people accountable. The team responded. I think he also decided, hey, this is what Caleb Williams does best. Let's focus on these things, do them again and again and again. And Caleb responded, different spirit than he's played with over the last month or so. So I think we all saw that. But the biggest thing Chicago did is they possessed the ball. They controlled the ball. There were 7 possessions on each side in this ball game, which is low. I mean, 8's really low. Sometimes you get 11, 12, 13, or 14. So limited opportunities for the Bears. The thing that was important for them is they're down 19-14. There's 3 minutes to go. The quarterback leads them down the field, and they get the go-ahead touchdown. So to me, that's something you can hang your hat on. You certainly want to play better defense coming back the other way before the blocked field goal. But I like their team. They're a little bit up and down on defense. They make a lot of boom plays, taking the ball away. But in the games where they don't take the ball away, they haven't played quite as well. So, again, we're all a work in progress. There's a lot of football to be played. The biggest concern is the one you guys made. Detroit's really good. Minnesota's really good. So they're playing catch-up in that division.
All right, guys, it's time for our speed round, and we are playing true or false. Somebody other than the 49ers will win the NFC West.
True. I kind of like this Cardinals team. They've already beaten the 49ers. You know Kyler Murray's my ride or die, so I'm going to say Arizona, but the Rams are so good. Seattle, tough win today. I mean, yes, give me the field versus the 49ers.
Okay. That's the reality. It isn't just one other team. There's 3 other teams, and it feels like one of those other 3 teams is going to win it instead of the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm going to go true as well. It's a feeling that they might have just started a little bit too far behind the 8 ball to catch up and win this division this year.
7 games to go. Arizona 6-4. The other teams are 5-5. It's a lifetime. I think they're going to get their guys back. They didn't have Kittle today. I just think when they get their guys back on offense and they get rolling, they're going to control the game a little bit more. Their defense will consequently play better, and they've been there before. I'm betting on them.
Okay. True or false, Anthony Richardson has turned a corner after being benched?
I'm going to say too soon to tell. I guess I'll say false just to answer the question, but it's one game, right? He was better. He's definitely better than we've seen him before, but it's still a young quarterback. And by the way, the Jets are a disaster. It's just been a mess, unfortunately, in New York. Their defense isn't playing well. The offense isn't playing well. Credit Anthony Richardson for playing better than we've seen it, but I don't want to say after one game suddenly all the issues are solved.
All right, I'll say true, but he's got more corners to turn. He's got more work to do. You got to build on what you did today. This has to be the starting point to another game where you'll win, another game where you'll win. And behind the scenes, is he showing that he learned the lessons that they wanted him to learn when they decided to bench him?
That to me is why I would say true, because the corner was being on the bench. So now you're back in there, and it doesn't mean he turned the corner. He's a great quarterback. I just think he's now moving in the right direction. He should now understand what it takes to be a pro, meetings, preparation, all those things. I think he understands that now.
Yeah, turned a corner or turned the corner. He's turned a corner, not the corner. I think he responded well. And everybody said, oh, my God, he's the 4th pick of the draft. You can't bench him. If you bench him and he goes away, you pick the wrong guy, right? So they benched him. He watched the other guy play for a couple weeks. Maybe he learned something. Maybe he took a breath and he said, I'm going to go back there. I'm going to be a different guy. In my preparation, how I play, all of that. And I think we saw glimpses of that today. I do think they have the right guy. He's still a raw player. But we see this ability, both as a runner and as a passer. He's got a long way to go, but it was a really positive step.
True or false, Bo Nix will lead the Broncos to the playoffs?
True with an asterisk, because it's going to be Bo Nix and that defense. Give credit to the Broncos defense because they're playing so well on that side of the ball. But a couple of weeks ago, we were like, well, Jaden Daniels has Offensive Rookie of the Year locked up. Bo Nix is going to make this a race. Really impressive today against the Falcons. And look at the remaining schedule. At the Raiders, home to Cleveland, bye, home to Indianapolis, at the Chargers, at Cincinnati, Kansas City. They're going to be favored in 4 of their next 6. So I don't know if they win the division, but yeah, I think the Broncos are in the playoffs.
It's weird to think 3 teams from the AFC West making it to the playoffs, but that's what will happen. I'll say true. You've got the Chargers, you got the Chiefs, and you got the Broncos. But right now they're in great position, and winning today gets them back to the right side of 500. And they got to take a lot of confidence. I mean, they didn't beat some cupcake today. They beat the Falcons badly.
I'll go true as well. I just think they've given themselves a chance. They put themselves in position by their record right now and being in that 7th spot with everybody else chasing you. And I think that's a good feeling for them. You said it. I think their strength of schedule, they're going to play a Bengals team at the end of the year that if they don't start winning games, there's going to be guys that start dropping and going on IR, guys that are done for. So I think this schedule can work out for them to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, true, and that's a good feeling. But the better feeling is knowing that you have a quarterback who's going to be there for a while. And I talked to Sean Payton for a long time about the quarterbacks after they drafted Nix, and he said, hey, started over 50 games in college, an experienced guy. He said they had all these different categories, how they ranked the quarterbacks. And he said he finished 1st or 2nd in every one of the categories. Now, this is after they took him, and he probably was saying, hey, we wanted Bo more than anybody. I don't know if that's fully true, but they got the quarterback that they wanted, and I think he and Sean are a perfect fit. I mean, he's playing like a veteran player.
Well, we're going to get the quarterback that we want next week. Guess what, guys? Kirk Cousins is going to...
So that's small, Florio.
I got a question. If he's going to be here, he's got to do this. We got to get another chair.
Have him hang
we got to
out?
get another chair.
I don't know if we could demand that. Are we paying the guy?
Yeah, I know.
We're about to demand he stay on.
Right.
I think he's okay.
He's so nice. If
financially.
we just ask, I'm
He
sure
probably would do it.
He probably will.
It'll be fun either way it goes. So make sure you join us next week for Football Night in America. Kirk Cousins coming up, fresh from Atlanta. We might swag surf. I don't know. Make sure you join us. Coverage starts 7 Eastern on NBC and Peacock.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.